There was, however, one thing wrong with the business. It smelled. The hot, stale grease that was used to make candles had a disgusting smell. The boiling lye that was used to make soap had a sharp, nasty smell, and it stung a person's nose. Benjamin was determined he was not going to spend his life smelling those smells. So, Mr. Franklin took Benjamin to different shops to show him how hatters made hats, how cutlers made knives, how coopers made barrels, and these trades seemed interesting to Benjamin, but to learn any of them, he'd have to become an apprentice. And Benjamin said no. In the end, after much arguing, Mr. Franklin talked Benjamin into becoming an apprentice to his brother James, a printer. It worked out just as Benjamin thought it would. He learned the printing business quickly, and there he was, stuck until he was 21. Being an apprentice to his brother was no easier than being an apprentice to anyone else. James thought Benjamin was vain, which was probably true, and argumentative, which was undoubtedly true, and he treated Benjamin as strictly, if not more strictly, than the other apprentices. Benjamin could not bear to think of all those years going to waste, so he decided to use every spare moment to learn all he could about everything he could. He would read, he would write, he would observe, he would try out new ideas. As a starter, he tried writing a poem. It was a long poem about the capture of Blackbeard the pirate. He showed it to his father. Mr. Franklin thought it was a terrible poem. "Forget poetry," his father said. "Stick to prose." To improve his prose style, Benjamin would read an essay, turn it into poetry, wait a few weeks, and then turn the poetry back into his own prose. He found this increased his vocabulary. Later, he would write letters to James' newspaper, signing them Silence Dogood, so James wouldn't know that he had written them. So he's writing letters like to the editor and printing them in the paper that he's actually printing with his brother. And his brother didn't know that he wrote them. Benjamin read a book on vegetarianism and decided to quit eating meat. He asked James to give him in cash half of what he had formerly paid for his meals. James agreed. Now Benjamin could not only eat by himself and read while he was eating, he could save some of his eating money and buy books. Many times a meal was only a biscuit, a handful of raisins, and a glass of water. Once Benjamin read a book about swimming that described unusual tricks and strokes. Benjamin was already an expert swimmer, but now he became even more expert. He learned to swim on his belly while holding both hands still, to carry his left leg in his right hand, to show both his feet out of water, to swim with his legs tied together, to sit in the water, to cut his toenails in the water, to show 4 body parts out of the water at the same time, to swim holding one leg, to put on his boots in the water, and to leap like a goat. He's strange, isn't he? He's also very smart. In order to swim faster, he tried out an idea of his own. He made wooden paddles for his hands and feet. He went faster, but the paddles were so heavy that he didn't get very far. Then he tried lying on his back, holding a kite string, and letting the kite act as a sail and pull him across the pond. This was a great success. There was only one trouble. In those days, boys went swimming naked, and if Benjamin didn't want to go home naked, he had to get a friend to carry his clothes to the other side of the pond. It had to be a good friend because the pond was a mile wide.